Welcome to Risky Conversations. And why? Because everything that's worthwhile is on the other side of a risky conversation. I'm really excited to have Andrea Liebross with us today. She is a results-driven strategic business coach who helps unapologetically ambitious women. We love them. We are them
We
and we love
do.
them.
We do.
And she helps unapologetically ambitious women grow their businesses with big thinking, confidence, and life integration. Through her signature coaching programs, podcast, and best-selling book, She Thinks Big, Andrea empowers female entrepreneurs to break through what's holding them back so they can lead with clarity and build success that actually feels good. Yes, we all want this. I want
We
it.
do. We do. We want it. Give it to me. Right?
Yeah.
Wish we could just take it off the shelf.
I mean, if we could, wouldn't that be just amazing,
It
right?
would. It would. It
Yeah.
would.
And Andrea, I just love this combination of the teal glasses and the turquoise top and the pink walls. I love it. I love it. It's
Thanks.
good to see you again. I was on your podcast, She Thinks Big, and I'm really honored that you're on Risky Conversations with me today. So here's the question I ask everyone, almost everyone. What is one of the riskiest conversations you have had, and why was it worth it?
Okay. So, when you said that's what you're going to ask me, I thought of three different conversations, but I guess I'll just start with the one that was probably the furthest back that I can remember. Um, so it was when I quit. The ultimate result of the conversation was me quitting my corporate job, and that was kind of the immediate result. Then the bigger result of that, though, was it opened my world up to so many different other possibilities that I had probably been shutting out or pushing down, so to speak, in my box of opportunities. And it was it felt this is like in retrospect, it felt very risky to me because I was sort of risking stability, and I was risking security, and I was risking moving out of my comfort zone. But ultimately, it gave me everything that I really wanted. So I'll paint a little picture for you. I had worked for this company for about 10 years, and I was doing what they were calling, I was director of business development. So I was recruiting in their business model, recruiting, hiring, and training, honestly, like new franchise owners, but they legally they weren't franchise owners, but they kind of were like franchise owners. So we're just going to go with that franchise owner analogy. And I had been one of those people way back in the day that had been recruited, and now I was doing this. And I stayed with this company for 10 years. And towards maybe the last 3 or 4 years, it got to a place where if I had the joke was if I had one more big idea that they said great, but then nothing happened, and it didn't get put into play, that I was going to quit. Right. So the joke became reality, and I reached my kind of breaking point, we'll call it. And I felt like I was still had to play small. I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I saw possibilities for them that I was kind of being tied back or held from moving forward with. And I remember where I was when I had this conversation. I was in a parking lot of a gas station on I-65 between Chicago and Indianapolis, because that was the time, I guess, I don't know why I was driving, but anyway, that's where I was. I pulled over, and I sat in this parking lot, and I basically said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I've had it. Here's why. And I think I was expecting them to say, no, 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 don't go. I kind of maybe was expecting someone to say, nope, we can make some changes. But that didn't happen. Okay. And so I think there inherently was like a little risk for me, because what if they didn't say that? And what if they said, okay, Andrea, bye, which is really deep down inside what I wanted them to say. right? That's what I wanted them to say, but it's
Wait,
almost
wait,
like
wait, can I pause you right here? So
yeah,
you mean to say what you were afraid of, what your conscious mind was afraid of was what your unconscious, your deeper part of you actually really want.
yes, yes. Isn't that interesting?
Very interesting. But
But I
tell us
mean, I'm sure I'm not alone. I'm sure I'm not alone, right?
yeah.
Yes. So, okay, sorry. Tell me, what you asked me. Tell me, I
You were
interrupted
in the
you.
parking lot,
Yep.
I-65 between Chicago and Indianapolis, and
Yep. It's
who?
November. It's
November.
November. Yes.
So who are you having the conversation with?
The president, she was called the president of this division of the bigger company that I was working for. And she I always felt like she didn't get it. I always felt like who made her like grand poobah, like I could be doing her job. I know I'm sounding like a little cocky, but I felt like that was how it was. Um, and I think I always felt like she was belittling a little bit, not respectful of what I was doing and what I had done and what I could do. So I gave her all these things like I'm out, like here are the reasons why. And she sort of said, okay. So mm, now what? Okay, so it it's interesting, like that felt risky because now here I am with no job.
So
But
you didn't have
yet,
anything lined up. You didn't have anything
no,
lined up. You weren't thinking I'm going to become a business coach for
no,
unapologetically
I
ambitious
I
women.
was not thinking that at all.
Mm.
Um, so there was a risk there, but yet I was willing to take the risk because I wouldn't have even had this conversation if I wasn't really willing to take it. But it felt kind of yucky. Like it
Mm.
felt yucky for about 20 seconds.
And then,
And then I think by the time I got to Indianapolis, I actually could probably even tell you what exit I was at. So I probably then had like another hour and a half to drive after I got back on the highway after the conversation. I did cry, but I got back on the highway, and I think by the 90 minutes later, I was like, that was awesome.
that was
And
awesome.
right, that was awesome. And then I about a month later, I actually hired my first coach. And she helped me really dig deeper into why had I stayed there for 10 years? Like there must have been something good about it. There must have
Mhm.
been a couple good things. Why had I stayed? What parts did I enjoy most? And that through that process, we really discovered that, the part what they called training was me coaching these new business owners. And it was really ultimately it was coaching. And maybe I should explore that doing that on my own. So then it really I hadn't thought about starting my own business at that point, right? So then it gave me kind of more maybe more courage or confidence to take another risk in starting my own business. So, I like one of my sayings, kind of like yours, is everything, all problems exist in the absence of an honest conversation.
Ooh, I love that. All problems exist in the absence of an honest conversation. That is good.
You like that?
I love it. I
So
love it.
was there a problem? Like that was another thing I thought about. I mean, it was a problem for me. Like, I don't know, she wasn't having a problem, but I was having a problem with the work environment. And I just wasn't being honest with her or really probably myself for a while. Right. So, um, and then that other thing I love to say is like everything you always wanted is on the other side of uncomfortable. Right. So that's kind of a variation of what you say too. So, like, this was an uncomfortable conversation, but really it was kind of what I wanted right on the other side. So I don't know. I mean, it felt very risky at the time.
Yeah, I love it because there are people listening to this right now, and I have clients who are executives, they're managers at, you know, well-known companies, and they're making decent money, and their life is not terrible, but they're like, there's something more. There's
Yeah.
something more. Or like, as you experience, they're looking around and above them, they're like, I don't want to be like my boss.
No, no, I didn't want to
Yeah.
be like that. I didn't
And
want to be like that.
and then this is what my clients tell me. they still get nervous. They still get
Yeah,
anxious.
like that was the thing, right? It's so interesting. It's like I wanted to I set up the conversation. Like I initiated the conversation. But yet, you get nervous. I was nervous. I
Yeah.
was but then it's like why? Like what was I what was the worst outcome of it? That's another interesting thing to think about here. What was going to be the worst outcome? Did I want her to really say, "Oh, stay, stay, stay"? Maybe for sort of like ego reasons, like thinking, you're
Mm.
wanted, but I really didn't want to stay, right?
Mm.
So like what was I looking for? Why
What's
what
your
was
best
I
guess?
want?
What's your best guess?
I think I kind of wanted, honestly, like indirectly, I wanted permission
Hmm.
to do something different, right? And that was sort of my way of creating that permission, indirect through a indirectly or through this process.
Yeah, I love it.
Um,
Because now it's
yeah,
your job as a business
right. So
coach.
that's right, right. Now it's
Now
my job.
you
So
hand
good.
out permission slips left and right every day.
I
Be like,
do. I do.
you
I
can
even
do
have a
it.
little, like, I've created this even document that I sometimes give my clients, like, here's a permission slip. It's like an adult permission slip, I call it. So, yeah. So that's the longest standing in my head thing when you said risky conversation that I thought of. I mean, I have two others, but that was the first one. Yeah.
There are people who are listening to this and they're thinking, but I want that too. But I'm still afraid. But what if I don't have enough money? But what if I fail?
Right. Right. But it's so true. I mean, but here's the thing, like what is failing in that conversation? Like what would be a fail? I don't know. I mean, I think you could say what would be a fail following the conversation. I think a fail following the conversation was if I still wanted to work, which I did, I wouldn't be able to secure another job or, generate revenue or income in some way. That might be considered a fail, but I'd probably be learning. I like to say there's no such thing as failing. It's either winning or learning. Um, it's very I think this is like why do people stay in these situations that they're
Yeah,
in longer than
yeah,
than their gut tells them that they should,
right. I had a very
right?
similar experience as you. I used to work at tech companies, tech startups, and I'm like, I really don't like this experience. But then I'm like, but what am I going to do? How am I going to, make a living? How am I going to pay my portion of the rent?
Right.
And it did help that I felt so insecure in the job that I
Yeah.
saved money. So I had a cash
Mm,
cushion and I had a life partner at home. And, he was going to support me. He said, yeah, if you want to quit, you could quit. I'll
right.
support you. Like, I'm not going to kick you out. Like,
Yes.
we're committed
Yes.
life partners, right? So
Yes.
that totally helped. And then I also lined up a part-time gig
Okay.
so that I had, some semblance of a stability. And
Mm-hmm.
that helped me. Okay, let's just take this part-time gig and I'll be able to pay my rent. And on the side, I'm going to work on building my own coaching practice. So that helped me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like
Mm-hmm.
calculated risks,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
But
I didn't
maybe,
really have calculated risk. That was
oh,
that was I guess in the end I realized I always say I wasn't going to live in a van down by the river. So I too have had a life partner that was like, okay,
yeah.
this will be okay. But all right, so I'll give you another little thing that happened more recently is I've now had to have so I have a team of people that work with me and for me, and I've had to get really good at kind of giving performance reviews. And
Mm.
I don't really call them performance reviews. I have other words, but that's what it is. And you know, sometimes I feel like it's a risky conversation because I don't want this person to leave or quit. And
Wait. Could we just pause and
yeah,
celebrate like the 360 moments of that, right?
yes, that's true. That's true. That's
Because
true.
now you're on the other side. You're like, oh, the
Right.
worst that can happen is that my employee quits.
Right.
You, okay?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's like the risk. But if I tell them, really I'll call it the truth, or here's some areas we need to improve.
Mm.
I want to tell them that because that benefits, I think, both them and me. But I feel like the risk is that they would leave. It's so interesting how it is like a 360 moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've
Tell,
felt that on
yeah,
the other side.
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell us more about playing small versus thinking big. What it really means for women entrepreneurs to stop limiting ourselves and embrace bigger possibilities, because I think that's what the story is really about, right?
It is really about, yeah.
Yeah,
And I was in that corporate job there. I mean, I was being kind of kept in a box or a container, I'll call it. Like these
yeah,
are the things that you're allowed to do, or
right.
this is how we think this process should go. Okay? So it was very calculated. It was very almost like very risk averse. They were very risk adverse, if we want to use the word risk in this way, right? So they were risk adverse. And I recognized that I wasn't, this wasn't good for me. Like I felt trapped. Um, this wasn't fun anymore. Also, I didn't think I was doing my best work, honestly. Like there was better work that could become from me, but I was in this box and I felt like looking back in retrospect, that was me playing small, right? And I like to think that, if we all have this future you, I say there's like past you, there's present you, and then there's future you. And future you is really a big thinker. Like
Mm.
future you sees possibilities. Future you is the one that actually probably has started their own business or quit the job or had the hard, risky conversation, right? Future you has gone through that. And future you is a big thinker. So if you imagine yourself a year from now or 3 years from now, I want everybody could like picture like what are you doing? Right? Where are you? Um, and probably if I did a survey, if I lined 100 people up and said, okay, go meet future you. This is the person a year from now, 3 years from now. They are doing exactly what they want to be doing. What do they look like? Or what's their facial expression? That's a better way to think about it. What's their facial
Mm.
expression?
Oh, I
And
love that. What's their
okay.
facial expression?
Yeah. And
It makes it vivid.
9.9 times out of 10, everybody says they're smiling, right? So future you is smiling. No one's picturing a frowny, sad future you. Okay. Everybody's picturing or envisioning, we could use the word vision, a happy future you, someone that's thriving, we'll call it. Okay. So that future you has a lot of big thinking in their brains at the moment. And when we're in a place where we're thinking small, like go back to me when working inside that container, I could start to imagine a little bit what it might be like to not be in that container.
Mm.
And when it comes to decision making, like should I go for that conversation? Should I say I'm quitting? If I go ask future you is going to always have the right answer. Future you was like, yeah, you should totally do that because there's bigger and better things for you out there. Right. So future you really is the one that drives your big thinking.
I love
Future
that.
you, right? She or they're the ones that move you in the right direction of opportunity and possibility and smiles. Right. Yeah.
How do you guide your clients to create this connection, to have this conversation with their future selves? Because I think some people will be like, but how do I do that?
Right. Right. How do I
I'm
do
just
that?
so
Right. That's
busy.
Yeah. So I think a really there's a couple things. I think number one, I use the word trust actually as an acronym to help you figure out how to do this. Okay. So if
Ooh,
you
I
think
love
of
it.
trust,
Hmm.
okay, TRUST. So the T in trust stands for thought options, right?
Thought
So
options.
yep. So number one, you've got to think about the fact that you have options on how you want to think about just about anything. Okay. And we could use a really easy example like today at my house here in Indianapolis, Indiana. It's probably I don't know, 70 degrees and rainy, and we're recording this at the end of August. And I could think, well, that's a bummer. I wish it was 85 and sunny. Okay, it's an option. I could think, oh, it's so nice that the weather's cooling off and the grass is getting a drink. Okay, that's an option. Okay, I could think, oh, I'm glad it's raining today and not Saturday because today I'm going to have to be inside anyway. Saturday I'm going to be outside, right? You got options on how you want to think about things. And I was just doing this with a client yesterday who's in a work situation that she's not liking at all.
Mm.
And um, the circumstances of the situation probably aren't changing, right? The infrastructure she's working in, like, the big boss, he's not leaving
Mm.
as far as we know. So what do you want to think about this? You have options. You can stay in this place where it's kind of like the victim mentality. I mean, you and I could have all sorts of conversations about this. Or you can think, I'm in the process of finding something new.
Yes.
Or I'm just gonna put myself out there, kind of like what's the worst thing that can happen? I'm gonna tell it like it is, and we can frame the conversation and better than tell it like it is, but we can go there. You got options. So, and if you're trying to figure out who this future you is, I want you to really access like your thought options.
Excellent.
What are other ways you can think about things? So that's the first
Yes.
thing. Um, Second thing, R in trust stands for a real problem. Here's the good news. There's really no future doesn't really have problems. Okay. Future you, the only problems that future you has is that he or she, they don't want to feel a certain way. Right.
Mm.
So you don't want to feel frustrated. You don't want to feel overwhelmed. You don't want to feel guilty. Like these aren't feelings we usually want.
Hmm.
And what's getting in the way of that big thinking, or the only thing that's getting in the way, or the only problem, is usually just a negative feeling that you don't want to experience.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
I was coaching a
Right.
client on this too. Like,
Yeah.
hey, if things are not working out and you don't feel motivated, what if not feeling motivated is not a problem? It's just a
Right.
current circumstance and you can just let
Yeah.
it be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which kind of touches on your thought options, which is really
Right.
brilliant. I love it. So
Right.
real problem. So tell us more. So does that mean acknowledging that emotions are not necessarily a real problem, but we
Yes.
want to get clear on what objectively is?
Yes. I think emotions are not a problem. Like you're a human. Okay. Hopefully humans are listening. You're a human and you are made to experience feelings. Like
Yeah.
it is innate in you. You should be experiencing the wide array of feelings.
Hmm.
And if you're not, that's a whole other conversation. But like, I always say, like, you know how to do feelings. You've felt frustrated before. You've felt guilty. You've felt uncomfortable. You've felt all the things, overwhelmed. You've felt it. So, good news, like, you know how to do the feelings,
Hmm.
even the feelings you don't want. So, you just have to really check in, like, is this a feeling that's getting in the way of my big thinking? Or is it just a feeling that's getting in the way of future you? And are you willing to experience that feeling? And it might only be for 20 seconds,
Yeah.
right? Or 90 more minutes in a car, right? Are you
Mm.
willing to experience it for that long? 99 times out of 10, people say, yep, I could do that. I could do that. Okay. So R in trust stands for real feeling. U in trust stands for the unknown
Hmm.
or um, the uncomfortable or uncertainty. We could use any of those words.
Hmm.
You know, future you kind of embraces the unknown. She embraces the uncertainty. She's okay not knowing exactly how this is all going to turn out.
This is really big
This is big.
because a lot of the people who are listening to this, a lot of the people who want to become business owners and be successful, they feel like their success relied on themselves eliminating uncertainty and knowing all the things, right? Especially high performing, perfectionist, people pleasing
Mm-hmm.
people, right? As I have been, right? And we think
Yes,
we're
yes.
supposed to know and we're supposed to eliminate uncertainty. But what you said is game changing when you say, actually embracing uncertainty,
Yeah.
not shying away from it, but like, yeah, this can be exciting. This can be
Yes.
interesting. We can be curious about how it unfolds,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Right. And but you're right. We're kind of societally trained to eliminate that uncertainty. Right. Even like when you said you wanted to leave your startup tech job, right? And
Hmm.
you were like, okay, I'm going to create this cash cushion. Smart, not dumb, not a dumb move. That's a smart move. But like, was it going to be enough?
I
I
just
don't
had to
know.
trust. I just had to
Right. So
trust that.
trust, that's why
Yeah.
I use trust as the acronym. Right?
Yes.
That's funny. Okay. So that U stands for embracing uncertainty. So if you're someone that says, if you catch yourself often saying, that sounds good, but I'm going to think about it.
I
I
do
want
that
you
a
to
lot.
really, yeah, I want you to go to yourself, like, what are you actually thinking about? Like, what are
Right.
you thinking about? And usually it's really you just trying to kind of go through your mental Rolodex of, is this going to work out? Or what am I getting myself into? You're trying to create some certainty, but
Right.
you're probably, bad news, you're not going to be able to do that. You're going to have to probably take a risk.
And then the beautiful paradox in all of this is that even certainty is ultimately just a thought option.
It is. It is. It because like we don't know. I mean, you could get a job tomorrow, but you could lose it the next day. Like we don't know,
Yeah.
right? Think about COVID. Like that's a great example.
Yeah.
Who knew? Who
Right.
knew? So, so yes. So you've got to trust. And you got to be okay. Embrace. I'm gonna say, just embrace it. Like it's there. It's there, and it's not going away.
Right. We dance with it.
We dance with it. We
Yeah.
totally dance with it. With a smile. So, okay, so that's you in trust. The S in trust. The S in trust stands for securing support.
Mm,
Okay.
I
Now
like it.
go back to your vision of future you.
Hmm.
Is she standing there all by herself?
Let's hope not.
Probably. Right. Probably not. You're
Yeah.
like, oh no, I'm in a wherever. Even if you're in like a field, a beautiful field out in the middle of nowhere, there's a house in the distance, right? You're not by yourself. And I think all big thinkers are people that want to embrace that big thinking mentality, recognize that they can't go it alone.
Right.
That they can't go it alone. So back to like I'm a type of person that likes to be, rely on themselves. I don't like to rely on anyone else. Like okay. I mean, I can buy into that a little bit, but I don't know any big thinkers that don't have humans, really humans, I'm going to say. There's time and money and other ways to find support, but humans supporting them,
Hmm.
right? In all sorts of ways. So there's people in your life that are there to support you and love you. Like their job is to love you. Their job is not to always be your cheerleader or, tell you everything's going to be okay. They just have to love you.
Hmm.
There's people in your life, you should have support in your life, the kind of the people they're going to tell you like it is or what they see for you that maybe you don't see for yourself. That's another kind of support. There are the people that are there just to commiserate. They like to jump in the pool with you and be like, yes, this is horrible. Okay. We need all different kinds of support systems. So there's not just if I say to someone, well, who's going to support you through, okay, so you left your job. Who's supporting you? Your life partner, yes, supporting you. Okay. But I'm going to guess there were other people in on this too that were going to offering different kinds of support. Right. So you need to secure support. You can't go it alone if I hate to break it to you.
Right.
So Jamie and I are very willing to support you in whatever you're
Yes.
doing.
Yes, we're also
Yes.
support systems
Yes.
coaches. But I
Yes.
also like to think about community because
Yes.
everything that you talked about, all the different types of people, they're, sometimes in our family, sometimes our friend network, but it's
Right.
often in the community, whether it's online or in person.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so big. So, and also like if we talk about entrepreneurs, for example, it is lonely being an
Hmm.
entrepreneur, but it's also lonely being part of a big organization sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? It doesn't mean that there's loneliness in all of this. So,
Right.
support community. That's S. And then the last T in trust. If you're going to be a big thinker, if you're going to try to get to that place, if you're going to meet future you,
Hmm.
You've got to take action. So the last T stands for taking action. And I like to qualify or my type of action.
Hmm.
I'm talking about massive action versus passive action.
Hmm.
Okay. So passive action, reading a book. I like books. I wrote one, but reading a book, listening to a podcast, and then just listening and saying, that was really great, but then forgetting what it was about 2 minutes later. um Searching, googling, like those things, all these things feel like you're doing something, but I would qualify those as, yes, they're action, you're taking action, but it's passive action. I want you to take massive action. I want you to have the risky conversation. That's taking massive action. I want you to um bring to the table some of your new ideas. That's massive action. I want you to leave if you need to leave. That's massive action. So, are you taking massive action, or are you sort of just stuck in passive action?
So is the definition of massive action something that changes the paradigm
Yes.
or
Yeah.
okay.
I would say it's something that changes the paradigm. Yeah. It
Hmm.
has to create some sort of change,
Hmm.
big or little. Right. So, um, sitting back and kind of absorbing things. We're very good consumers, right? We
Hmm.
can consume, but that doesn't necessarily change the paradigm,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
external paradigm, right? So, yeah, it needs to change, it create a change. So
I
you have to
love
be a
it.
change maker. What's that quote about the change you, you're the change you want to, oh my gosh, I can't even think about it. The world needs people more making, taking, I'll figure out what I was trying to say. But you need to create change.
Right. So
Yep,
thought options, real problem, unknown, securing support, and taking massive action. That
you
is
got it.
how, that is how you think big and you take big action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
You do.
Can you give us some examples? Maybe you can give us some like stories from whether it's from your life or some of your clients. Like, what does taking massive action really look like? And what is the change that can be created?
So I like to think about massive action as taking leaps and not just little steps. Now, little steps can lead to change too.
Got it.
So
So it's not micro steps.
it's not micro steps, right? So um I will give you an example. I have a client, and she is an interior designer,
Hmm.
and she has been taking some massive action in trying to get herself published in magazines, like her work published in magazines. Okay. So we've talked about this, and she had taken some micro actions in asking around how to do it, trying to research it,
Hmm.
but then she got pretty bold, and she just submitted like a whole slew of portfolio photographs and an article to go with it. She submitted it into a pretty major publication, and it got published.
Yes.
Okay. So
So
she
she-
kind of was dabbling like in the local newspaper and in the whatever. I was like, what if we just go for, House Beautiful? It's not House Beautiful, but right, let's go for it. She's like, you think? I was like, I don't know. Why not? What's the worst thing that could happen? Right.
yeah.
So that's taking massive action. Actually, okay, I'm going to share something. Listeners, I met Jamie, I don't know, when was it? Like
4 years
2019 or
ago, 3 years?
2020? I feel like it was during COVID sometime. 4 years,
I think it was,
I want to say 4 years ago, maybe.
yeah, 2021.
Okay, and I remember that you created this magazine cover.
Yes, I
You put
did.
yourself on the magazine cover, right?
I created a fake
Fake
Harvard
Mac.
Business Review
Yes.
cover with my face on it.
Okay. Okay. So I just got published in Harvard Business Review.
Gosh,
And their
congratulations.
Ascend, they have a publication called Ascend, Harvard Business Review
Yes.
Ascend. So I just got published in there, right? And I thought about that. I thought about you on the magazine covers. That's hilarious, right?
Okay, we're
So,
definitely going to link to that in the show notes. So please send me
yes,
the link article.
I will. I will. But that's like massive action. I was like, why can't I be in Harvard Business Review? Like, why not?
Mm, I love
Right?
it.
So these are, I mean, those are both about publications, but that's where my brain was going. These are massive actions.
Yeah.
This is not dabbling. This is like, let's go for it.
Let's go for it. It's
Right?
something that really up levels, that's like changes
Yeah.
the whole game that
Yeah.
you're in. I
Yeah. Like
love
I'm
that.
attending a conference in a couple of weeks. It's called Rally. It's like Rally Innovation. It's held actually here in Indianapolis where I live, but it's a big, go Google that rally. It's a big deal. And it's kind of like, do I belong there? Like, does me and my size business belong at this conference? I can have a little bit of, and I do have a little bit of like imposter syndrome. Okay. If we want to use
Hmm.
that word, which I don't really like, but you know what I mean. And I met last week with the founder, like the chief honcho, the big dude.
Hmm.
My friend knows him. And she's like, what if I introduced you? And you could sit down with him and ask him, like, how should you show up for this conference? Where should you go? What parts of it should you attend? Or where should you be? And I was like, all right. So she did a little intro. I responded. I said, I'd love to sit down with you sometime in the next week or two. And he said, great, send me some dates. So I sent him some dates. He picked one and we met last week. And so now I feel better prepped for the conference. I met with the big cheese and I'm going. And it's really for startups, like venture capital type startups, right?
Mm.
So actually tech, like you could go back to tech startups. So I'm not a tech startup. I'm not asking for billions of dollars in funding. I mean, I could, but
Hmm.
so yeah, that's just like massive action. Like, let's go, let's show up, let's see what happens.
So, so fun. So now that we're talking about like changing paradigms, up leveling, changing the game, taking massive action, I think money and wealth comes to my
Mm-hmm.
mind
Mm-hmm.
because I mean that would be the ultimate outcome of taking massive
Yeah.
action, thinking big, changing the paradigm, pitching yourself, making offers. I'm sure all the things that you work, with your clients on. So you have this concept of wealth as choice. Tell me what that
Mm-hmm.
means. Because, like, what does it mean to think about wealth beyond revenue?
So I think you can be wealthy in many ways. There is the monetary way, which I'm
Hmm.
all for.
Hmm.
But you also could think of wealth in terms of freedom. So we all, I think, innately want freedom of time
Hmm.
or time wealth, right? We want freedom of money. We also want freedom of energy. Okay, so wealth of, and you have abundant energy, whether you're on hormone replacement or not, right? Abundant energy. And then people, we want to have a wealth of people in our lives that's that make us happy, right?
Hmm.
That we enjoy being with. So I think wealth, even monetary wealth, is a choice. Like you have the power to make these things happen
Hmm.
through thought options and being in tune with how you're feeling, et cetera, the things we talked about. So it's not something that just appears. You create that wealth, you create that time freedom, you create the freedom of energy, you create your people choices. And to think that you're just stuck in a situation or this is the way it has to be, or I need to exist in that small box, if we bring it full circle here, like I don't. I can make a change. I can take some action. I can think what might be possible and then figure out how to make it, like how to actually turn the vision into action. So I'm
Hmm.
really I love thinking about how do I turn my vision into how do I take that vision and move it from impossible to possible to inevitable. Like I
Hmm.
picture a little bridge.
Hmm.
It's like, well, the land of inevitable is on one side, the land of impossible is on the other, and in the middle is possible. So impossible, possible is like at the peak of the little bridge, the little wooden bridge, and then inevitable is on the other side. And wealth is a choice. Like, are you going to go over the bridge and to get to that place of wealth, whether it's time, money, energy, or people? Um, I mean, it's like I was talking to someone yesterday and she's divorced and she's dating people and she wants to find someone who can help buy her a big house. I mean, this is ridiculous.
Mm.
And I said to her, well, why don't you go buy your own big house?
I love that. And
Like,
what did she say?
well, I mean, I could. I said, aren't you like how I I know too much about this person, but like you could if it's money we need, like we can work more. We can change our job. We can do and it's just really like she hadn't thought about any of these possibilities. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird. I was
and
like,
I
"What?"
think okay, this is a really great point because um there's some people, right? Like people of
Yeah.
color, people of marginalized identities for
Yes.
whom
Yes.
that choice has just not been offered as an option as
Yes.
frequently as compared to
Yes.
other people, right? So I was
Right.
talking to a woman of color yesterday, and she's like, my parents, they just constantly work. They were doctors and they were always working, but they never like, did something new or different or try to make more money. Like it's just
Yeah.
so now I don't really see myself that way either, right?
Yes. Yes, she
So
didn't see herself like this. This is
right. So that
yes.
so that wealthier or the version of her who's happier, has more leverage, has more options, which it just didn't seem as it still felt impossible on
It's
that
not
delusion.
available. It's like not
Right.
available, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think, and we all have areas of our life that we think aren't an alternative isn't available,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's everybody experiences this in some way. And I think our experiences
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes dictate what we think is available and isn't available. But you have thought options, right?
Right.
So even though that was how her childhood or her experience with her parents or
Yeah.
what she was in, like she can change that.
I have a question about this. I
Yeah.
have a client who's also a business leader,
Yep.
executive, and now she's thinking, I feel like my options, kind of like as you described, she's kind of feeling boxed in. So she's thinking about,
Yep.
like, but I still have ambitions. And so we kind of talked about, like, how freeing it could be to allow yourself to be delusional.
Yes. Yes. Like
And yeah, and for some
yes.
people, when they hear that, like, why would you want to be delusional? You want to be realistic, right? But she was like, no, I'm allowed to dream. Like and that came from accessing her past self, right? We talked about the future
Right.
self. And for her, it was thinking about her younger self who used to have ambitions, dreams, like big dreams, right?
Right.
And she's
Right.
like, I'm still allowed to dream big.
Yes.
And for some
Totally.
people, that might seem delusional. Thought options might seem delusional that you can just think new thoughts or even consider possibilities that haven't been, frequent or in your face all the time, right?
Yeah.
And for her,
Yeah.
it was like very liberating. She's like, yeah, I could have ideas.
Right. Right. I could have
Yeah.
ideas. Huh. It is liberating. It actually
Yeah.
creates a bit of excitement, right?
Yes.
And freedom.
Yes. Freedom.
You
Freedom.
could even have wealth in
Yeah.
your ideas or your delusions in a sense.
Right. This makes me think of just earlier this week, I made a little error, administrative error. And so I didn't cancel a subscription in time. So I got charged $500 for something that I wasn't going
Oh,
to use. And
okay.
then and then I was thinking about that. I'm like, I have a thought option here. I can be really mad and get like cranky and,
Yeah.
curmudgeonly, or I could be like, I have an option. I could just think about that $500 as, you know, um, as if as if as if it's I've paid it for me to feel good.
Right. Okay, so that's funny you said that because I bought tickets to something
Yeah.
like Ticketmaster,
Yeah.
It was $630 and we ended up not going. And I didn't have my act together enough to give the tickets away or try to sell them or whatever. And for a minute or two, I was like angry about it.
Yeah.
Like what was my problem? Like I shouldn't. Then I was like, you know what? in the thing we did, but we didn't go to we didn't use the tickets, but we did something else. I was like, that was actually free. I was like, well,
Mhm.
I could have just thought that $600 went towards that wonderful experience I had.
Exactly.
Like, I just was like, okay, like, I mean, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Now
got
I
like an
was,
yes.
I
Go ahead.
was, I was like inside, like, I can't believe I just did that. Like, you were probably like, how did I let that slip? Right? Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that
I
wasn't going to serve me. That wasn't going to be helpful.
right. Exactly. I'm like, I can be angry, but that's not going to serve me. It's not going to help
No,
me do my job better. It's not going to
no,
help me make more money. So I could just be like,
100%.
oh yeah, that the other thing that I got from this thing, from this subscription, I could be like, that was worth extra $500. I could just decide
Yeah,
willy-nilly.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Willy-nilly. Yep, totally
Yeah.
true.
And
Totally
then
true.
and then when the money was refunded, finally, now I felt I was $500 richer.
Yes. Yes, you
Yeah,
were. You were.
that's right. That's right. Andrea, so I'm curious, do you work with entrepreneurs who are like in a specific stage in their business, or do you work with women who want to transition from being or becoming entrepreneurs? Do you have like a special niche around that?
Yeah. I really work with entrepreneurs in all stages of business. So I have some that are um starting their own business. Mostly the ideal client there is someone who's transitioning out of a corporate role and wanting to start their own business. So they feel like they've got some power, I'll call it,
Mm-hmm.
or so they
Mm-hmm.
think, right? They do have power. So there's that. But I also work with businesses that are already in the revenue in seven figures. They've been around for 15 years. And I work with those businesses as well. It's just I have different offers for different situations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think my ideal client though is someone who is really unapologetically ambitious. It's
Yes.
way more about their mindset than about any number or any stage. It's just like, let's do this. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of what I say. Like that, let's do this. Let's go. And and then if your life, that's you, and you're like, let's go, let's do this, get to that next level, start something, whatever, then we figure out what the best coaching container is for you. But I just love the people that are like all in. They're all in.
Excellent.
And
So maybe you can tell us uh, like one of your biggest client successes because they were all in and because
yep,
they implemented the trust process, right?
yep,
And they
yep.
thought big. I
Yes.
want you to unapologetically brag about one of your biggest client successes.
Okay, so I will say, I'll give you two examples. One, client who left a very high profile job,
Mm-hmm.
um, quit. Um, Anyone else looking in from the outside would say, why did she do that? Like, why wouldn't you want to be part of this organization that she was part of? You must be crazy. Okay. And she was high up, high profile. Um, didn't like how she was being treated, really, is what kind of came down to. So I started working with her, originally trying to help her kind of navigate the ins and outs of her workplace. Then we got to a place where she couldn't hack it. She quit. So then she started looking for a new job. And I kind of just threw out there like, hey, have you ever wanted to do your own thing? Oh no, she didn't think that was a good idea. And within about 30 days of quitting, she was all in on her own business.
Of course she was.
Of course she is. And now she is, I mean, it is, she can't keep up. So she's hired people, she's got her infrastructure, she's signing six-figure contracts. Actually, not six-figure, yeah, six-figure contracts. She just signed someone for like a contract for 125,000. I mean, she's got multiple of these. Anyway, like loving it. So I think that is someone who honestly thought big, like put that framework into place in her existing role, okay, but realized it couldn't come to fruition, right? So then had the risky conversation or took a risk, left, and now is thinking big about where she wants to go with her own business. So that's like amazingness. Um, and then I've got another client who started out with me pretty small, revenue like less than 500K. And in a year, she bought a building, created a team. She'd been doing this now for about 10 years. So this wasn't her first rodeo, but she had sort of stayed in that, we'll call it very small business space. And then in 1 year, took a lot of very, took a lot of risk,
Mm,
took a lot of risk, and now has like tripled her revenue in a year.
excellent. That is
But
phenomenal.
it's really, I mean, she will say it's really because she had to stay in this mindset
Mm.
of anything is possible. Let's go. Like,
Anything is
why not?
possible. I feel inspired. I
Yeah,
love
like
it.
let's
Okay,
go. Like, let's
let's
do it.
go.
So, yes. So those are two totally different examples. But if you look back, it was really these periods of big thinking that
Mhm.
propelled them to take that next step. And then
Love it.
staying in that space to continue to grow.
Yeah. This is phenomenal. Where can people go to learn more about you, your podcast, your book, your Ascend Harvard Business Review article? Where
Oh
can
yeah,
people
we got to
go?
put that in there too.
Yes.
So I think the easiest thing is to go to Andrea's with an S, links with an S, andreaslinks.com. And there you will find a link to the book called their title is She Thinks Big, the podcast, the same title, She Thinks Big. My website, always open to have a conversation. There's a button on there to book a call. Just let's chat. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram. The links to those are there as well. And there also is a link to a quiz, which is called the Silent Saboteur, which really helps you. It's kind of like a little audit or 2-minute diagnostic, helps you reveal what is sabotaging you right now. What's
Mm.
kind of like the silent thing lurking in the background.
Hmm.
Because I think sometimes there's some very obvious things, but oftentimes the real thing is kind of a little behind the scenes. So
That
helps you
sounds
kind of get to the root of
fascinating.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds
silent
really fascinating.
saboteur.
Silent Saboteur. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on to Risky Conversations. Is there anything else I haven't yet asked that you want to make sure you share?
I would just say that you can only grow professionally as fast as you're growing personally. So your own personal development is of utmost importance. So don't neglect it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm receiving that.
Okay. Thanks for having me.